Okay. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us this year for our Hispanic Heritage Month 2023. This year's topic is Hispanic Entrepreneurship and Opportunity. My name is Diana Vivanco. I'm the Historical Society trustee. Let me present our speakers for this year.
Yes, I am George Castro from Premier Homes.
I'm Joseph Gillis from MLB Residential Lending.
Thank you both for joining us. Thank you for sharing your experiences this year.
Thank you for inviting us.
We want to thank you. We want to learn from you, from your experience on your journey to us. So, can you can you tell us how did you start your business?
Well, I've always liked real estate. I've always liked finance. And years ago, I was in corporate finance and I lost my job. I got a severance package, and that was the perfect opportunity to jump into something new and do what I like. I have a master's degree in finance, and those financial skills have really helped me in mortgages. So I started my company, about 25 years ago. And it's been great.
But I like that you mentioned the opportunity word. That's the word of the form, the opportunity.
Yes.
Yes.
What about you, George? How did you start?
Well, I became a real estate salesperson in 1989. It was by coincidence. Sometimes opportunities are presented to you in different formats. It is upon you as a person to identify those opportunities and take advantage of them as they are presented to you. Joe, for example, mentioned that he was fired from a job. And of course, as the saying says, when a door closes, another one bigger opens. That forced him to take opportunity or to take advantage of an opportunity that made him very successful, that made him one of the best in the business that he is, which is the residential business. And 30 years later, he's here today. The same thing happens to me. I remember going to a supermarket one day in 1989, February of 1989, and meeting this lady who I was working with before. She had become a real estate agent. She was totally transformed, very impressive how she was dressed. And I asked her what business she was in. She immediately told me that she was in the real estate business. I identified her presence with success, and I became a real estate agent. 30 years later, I'm here heading one of the most successful real estate companies in the state of New Jersey because I took advantage of that opportunity, and I became a real estate agent at that moment.
Yes. I cannot imagine. It must be not easy to start a business, start from start being employed and to start your own company.
Absolutely. Once you start your business, there's no salary. You have to produce. You have to make things happen.
Yeah. So what was some of the biggest challenges that you faced when you started your business?
Well, when I started, actually the market was slow, but nobody told me that. So I just proceeded like the ships were burned. I couldn't go back. My wife had a baby, and I had to put all my energies into making this company successful. And it's all through hard work. There's always failures, but that's where you learn from and you become stronger.
What about you? What was your biggest?
Well, I think the biggest challenge is when adversity is before you, how you control your state of mind. The real estate business is a business that is subject to fluctuations in the economy, the market. Interest rates go up, they go down, emotions. And if you are mentally strong, the real estate business is for mentally strong people, then you can succeed. So the biggest challenge is to maintaining that mental strength and not allowing adversity or what appears to be an adversity to affect you.
That's very important. Like, that's very important. Let's talk about a little bit about culture. As a Hispanic heritage, how do you assimilate into the American culture? What strategies do you use to compete with peers that were doing the similar things?
Just for some background, I was born in Cuba. I came when I was 6 years old. And I had a lot of educating to do. A lot of people don't realize how fairly easy it is to buy a home, both in the Hispanic community and in the American community. So I did a lot of educating, letting them know that, hey, we don't like to say no for a loan. We like to say when. So if you're not ready today, you're ready tomorrow. So it's just educating people, letting them know what's available, that you can reach your goals. I mean, owning real estate is the best way to become financially independent. It's been proven years and years.
What about you, George? How do you assimilate into?
Well, for me, it was a little bit different because when I came to the United States, I was in my mid-20s. So I had to quickly learn the language. I had to adapt. But this is a country of opportunities. One of the things that I always tell people is the first thing that you learn is to love this country as if it was the country where you were born. When you learn how to love this country, opportunities have a different appearance. It wasn't difficult. I was born in Colombia. I've been commissioner of the New Jersey Sports and Expositions Authority. I was the chairman of the Human Resources of the New Jersey Sports and Expositions Authority. I was the vice chairman of the State Investment Council that was responsible for the investment of $80 billion in state employee pension funds. I am a member of the Union County College Board of Trustees. I'm the chairman of the Zoning Board of Adjustment of the City of Elizabeth, appointed by Mayor Baldwin. So this country offers those opportunities. It is upon you to step up to the plate, take advantage of those opportunities with responsibility, and here we are.
You mentioned the opportunities on all the careers, the steps you've been busy doing these years. How do you connect? How do you network? What was the stepping stone? Is something that somebody or something that helped you at first? Or what would you say was the strategy or the step that helped you to open to the community? Because I think that's key for being a business owner or any career.
I had the opportunity to meet great mentors, great mentors that I still to this day look up to, and don't be afraid of claiming what you think you can do or what is yours, and the opportunity, when the opportunity is presented, you take advantage of it. And but I am very grateful to my friends like Joe Gillis, for example, friends in the political arena and the political field that have empowered me to be where I am today and helped me attain those accomplishments in a very short period of time.
Yeah, okay. What about you, Joe?
Well, I really like this business, and I'll never forget when I took my first mortgage application. It was such a happy experience for the buyers. And this business is sales, but it's a happy sales. We're putting people into homes. We're not selling them a car. We're providing shelter. And just watching the home buyers close on their first loan is a very happy experience, very rewarding. And I always try to do a good job, and I try to go to every closing.
That should be very satisfactory.
No, it is important, and I agree with Joe. When you see the smile in the faces of the husband, the wife, the kids, and they walk into the house that they just bought, it is very rewarding and comforting. Not just the process, as Joe said, of financing the property, helping the buyer be able to obtain a mortgage, but seeing them and watching them raise their kids and then later on put their house up for sale and walk away with an incredible amount of equity so that they can move on and buy a better house.
Absolutely. I've had families that I have done numerous loans for. First to buy, then to reduce their payment down the road, then take some money out of the house for their kids' education. It doesn't end in the first closing. So it's a happy experience.
It's just the beginning of the long journey. Right, Joe?
Absolutely.
I like your smiles. But talking about this, is buying a home is part of the American dream. Many would say that.
Yes.
But talking about that, how do you define success in an entrepreneur? When was the time? How long did it take you to find it? So I said, when do you say I made it, or I'm happy what I'm doing now?
Well, look, success can be defined in different ways. A successful family and the husband, the wife are successful by virtue of having a happy family. Kids that become eventually accomplished kids, they go to school, they become good students, musicians, doctors, attorneys. So by virtue of that, that's success. Other people define success by the balance that you have in your bank account. Other people define success by the fancy car that you drive, or by the successful business that you have, that you created, that you run, that provides job opportunities to a lot of people. So my definition of my success, at least, is being able to have a company that provides opportunities not only for the people that work for you, but for the people that you empower to become better, the people that you influence but also how you empower people in the Latino community mainly who come to the United States very quickly realize that it's simple, that it's easy to buy a house with no down payment or 3.5% down payment, where the, as I say, the federal government, Uncle Sam, becomes your quasi-cosigner, so that the bank will comfortably give a $600,000-$700,000 loan to a Latino who wants to buy a house, or an African American, or anyone. That's how I define success.
So the success is doing well in your business, but also having a happy family life, being able to provide for your kids. We've been very stable. We've been married for about 30 years, my wife and I, and it has its ups and downs, but that's part of the success. You work hard, and then you have to have time for family.
So, yeah, knowing that you know now, when you all the experience that you have, what would you have done different when you were first starting out?
I think that it is important for you to anticipate. Never, when you become successful and things are going well, never assume that it is going to stay always like that. Always anticipating that the market changes, the economy changes, will change the situation and the outcome. So anticipation in the business that we both are in is important. And in anticipation of what could happen, you always are at the defensive, always taking advantage aggressively of the opportunities, but at the same time, investing, saving is important, preparing for growth is very important. So that's my position in what relates to your question. Yeah?
If I could do something different, it would have been to get into business at a much younger age. I spent years in corporate America with a good salary, but not much more in potential. So I should have gone into this sooner, and it's worked out great.
But I have to say one thing to add to what George said. The more addictive than cigarette is the paycheck to paycheck. Because you get addicted to the comfort of the paycheck that you get every weekend or every other week that allows you to barely pay your obligations. Joe, for example, wisely so, made a move to a great business, which is the mortgage business. Probably he would not have gotten into the real estate business or the mortgage business as soon as you did if they would not have fired you.
Right.
You know? So what appears to be an adversity is always an opportunity.
I like a saying that says, the bend in the road is not the end of the road.
Yeah, I mean, that's the, yeah, I mean, I like what you say also about the paycheck to pay. There's nothing wrong to have a salary and have some stability for your family. But we are learning that having a business also opportunity for not only for you, but for your family too, no, for the future.
In the real estate business, for example, right now I have 120 real estate agents. I run a very successful real estate franchise. Back in the days, the #1 in the state of New Jersey. And I was having this conversation with you when we were driving back to this forum. It is in my DNA to try to influence people so that I can change their lives. and make sure that they understand you want to become a real estate professional. There is a great opportunity. The real estate business is not difficult, it's not simple, but that will pull you away from your paycheck to paycheck, and that is a good opportunity.
Absolutely. We really believe in making lives better. Hence my company, MLB, Making Lives Better. That's what we strive to do with every customer that we meet.
That was a good one, Joe. Huh?
Good choice.
Making lives better, yes.
So we can say you mentioned a lot of rewards about having a business, no? You talk about job opportunity, of having the opportunity to have offer job to other people. Also, the rewards to the happiness that you offer with your business. What else would you say? What is the most rewarding experience to offer?
I think the satisfaction of being able to help people fulfill a portion of the American dream. You know, the American dream is own a home, own a pickup truck, and have a dog. That's what they say, no? But the house plays an important factor in the process. So the most rewarding is when you go to a closing and they sign the papers and you hand over the keys and they cry in front of you. And then you ask them, why are you crying? I said, I never thought that it would be possible. I just called your office one day to get an answer to a question, and here I am 60 days later closing on your property with Joe Gillis, who is also a very important part of the dynamic of my business, the real estate business, because I find you the house, he gets you the money.
Very important.
We work hand in hand. Now, just to follow up on your question, having your own business, you're not on the clock. You're not required to work 40 hours. You work as much as you want to be as successful as you want to be. There's a lot of, unfortunately, mediocre people in our business, and you really have to work hard. I mean, you could stay in bed because you don't have a boss. You're technically self-employed, but you got to make things happen.
I was watching, one of the things that I like to do is watch documentaries. And Netflix has this documentary, Tour de France. There is another documentary, The Life of Shoemaker. And when you look at those type of sports, cycling or Formula One speeding, you'll notice that those people, those winners, they're not in competition with others. They're in competition with yourselves. Joe mentioned a few seconds ago, it is up to you to wake up early if you want, or to wake up late if you want. But in the real estate business, you need to remember that you're competing against yourself. Of course, you cannot wake up early if you go to bed late. There are certain habits that will define how successful you are as a person. Real estate is definitely a good business to be in.
To bring in, yeah. Well, let's talk about a little bit of defining the culture again. Do you think there is a difference between Hispanic business entrepreneurs and other cultures? Do you see any difference? What makes you unique?
I think in any culture, you have good people. You have other that are not, looking to step up. The Hispanic culture, typically very hardworking, wanting to get better. And, it's our job to educate them in that, hey, this is the best way to become financially independent. I've seen people buy a home 20 years ago, they're soon ready to retire, and they have a very nice nest egg.
I think, I mean, every community has its unique traits. The beautiful thing about the United States is you have different communities, different cultures, and every community and every culture allows you to blend into that. Empowering people to understand that owning a home or taking advantage of certain opportunities is important. I'll tell you a story. When I came to this country in 1985, at some point I was offered 2 job opportunities. One was at a factory in Linden where they were paying me $6.50, and another one at the Marriott Hotel where they were paying me $4.25. And I chose the $4.25 job rather than the $6.50 job, because I saw that in the long term, the $4.25 and the exposure that I would have at that job would open bigger doors and bigger opportunities for me. So understanding that what happens today is not going to necessarily be beneficial to you in the long run is important. So identify, and I'm a Latino, you know, it's all in the way you think, right? The mentality. Wouldn't you agree?
Of course. No, that's a very good point. And one lesson to young people that want to make a lot of money in business, you have to do something where there's a big population. You're not going to make money by staying home. And the fact that he worked at Marriott, he met a lot of people, made contacts. Even though he was making a little bit less, he's thinking for the long term. So you have to be in a population center, be near people that you can help.
That's key. That's a good point. We have to take note. Let's talk about being an ownership is also being a leader. You had to build your own team. So how did you first select your employees? I'm talking about what do you look in your employees? How do you build your team? What is important factors to be part of your team? What do you consider?
Well, in my business, we have 2 types of employees. We have the backroom staff. Their job is to process a loan application from beginning to end. They have to be very meticulous, hardworking, and have to be attentive to detail. On the other hand, so those are a little harder sometimes to get somebody dedicated, because I take a loan application, I don't process the loan. I have to hand it off to someone. On the other side, we have loan officers. Those are the ones that do not get paid by the hour. They have to produce. Early on, you can tell who's going to be successful or not. And a lot of people leave the business because they don't have a set salary. So the few that make it do very well. This, I believe, is the best kept secret in business.
Thank you for sharing. What about you?
In my case, in the real estate business, I have a philosophy, and it is always to embrace everyone who walked through the door, because I'm very proactive, and I'm going to tell you in the lives of the real estate agents, and I'll tell you how. Becoming a real estate agent requires a mental strength. In my office, I have people from different ethnic groups, different communities. And I allow them to come in and I press them hard. To get the wine, you have to press the grapes. To get olive oils, you have to press the olives. To get the diamonds, you have to apply a substantial amount of pressure. I like to coach my team. I am a sideline coach. If you go to a football game, you see the coaches in the sidelines communicating with the quarterback. You go to a basketball game and the sideline coach is walking from one part of the court to the other one, yelling at his team, calling timeout. Real estate is no different. And that's one of the reasons why in my company, Premier Homes, we have a very high successful rate, you know? And I'll bring you in, I'm going to pressure you until two things happen. Either you step up to the plate and become successful, or you will succumb to the pressure and leave. But you are embracing everyone and giving that opportunity to everyone. It is upon them to take advantage, see the light at the end of the tunnel, and move on and take advantage of that opportunity.
I want to mention that George has such a great training program that if a realtor does not make it there, he doesn't belong there and he's not going to be successful. So he has developed hundreds of people since I've known you.
I always tell people when I interview them, I'm going to make you successful in spite of yourself. So
That's right, success.
yes, yes.
That's a super good idea. It's also a way to contribute to the community, no? That they educate people.
And the country, I mean, this is a beautiful country. You go to my office and you see the American flag all over. And I'm a proud Latino, I am a proud Colombian, and I am a proud American too.
That's good.
Very important.
Very important.
I'm sure you do.
I am.
Of course.
I am. So let's talk about a very important part of the starting a business is the funding. And I'm gonna start with you, Joey, as your area of expertise. How did you raise funding? What are some of the biggest financial challenge that you face when you start?
A mortgage company is not capital intensive. I don't have to buy machinery. I don't have to buy equipment. I have to rent a space. I have to hire people. So it was mostly internally generated funds to get me going. Then after we started producing, then you know, everything was fine. There was no need for funding. But other companies that do start out, there are some banks out there that do provide money for entrepreneurs. So there's a lot of resources out there. Not something that we do, but I've heard a lot of that.
What about you, George?
Well, mine was a little challenging. I became a real estate broker. I opened my real estate company in 1992 with a big dream more than a big reality. So in 2 months, I realized that I didn't have the money to sustain a steady business. So I really had to go back to basics and knock on doors every day and make a lot of phone calls because I had two choices, fail or succeed. And in the real estate business, understanding, as Joe said before, is about meeting people, networking with people. What makes you successful, that's what I did. It was tough, it was rough, it was difficult. I lost a lot of sleep, but here I am 30 years later.
It was,
Yes.
we can say it's a part of the challenge,
Of
the
course.
funding
And
part.
with the real estate meltdown in 2008, 2010, we all had a bit of a hard time, but we stuck with it. We didn't give up.
Yes.
We continued, and things always get better.
So in terms of the community in general, what do you think, Joe, is the biggest challenge for the Hispanic community to find funding? Do you think there have challenges in comparison to other groups?
I think it starts with education. Your typical home buyer will go to a large bank. I won't mention any names, but a bank that is primarily concerned with taking deposits. They don't care so much about making loans because their specialty is not loans. They do a variety of things: deposits, CDs, bank loans, car loans, boat loans, personal loans. They don't specialize in mortgages. We only do one thing. We do mortgages, and we do it well. So my most important job is to educate buyers that, hey, you can buy this house. Just to bring an example, I was at a baby shower, and I'm talking to the waitress, and I go, haven't you bought a house yet? You know, she was an Ecuadorian waitress, and she goes, oh, we would like to, but you know, we've been told we need 20% down, which is not the case. So I took her contact information, I qualified her, reviewed her documents, referred her to one of your realtors, and she bought the home. And she's very happy. You know, if it wasn't for that chance meeting, she would still be renting, and rents are high.
Yes. Yes, today rents are as high as probably what a mortgage payment could be. The main challenge is education. My mother, for example, before she passed, she lived in this country 50 years. And one day I asked my mother, ma'am, why you never bought a house? You had 3 jobs at some point, 2 jobs at another point. When I came and helped her, she had 1 job. Why didn't you buy a house ever? Her answer was, because no one told me that I could. But she didn't ask either. So it is important to educate our communities, to teach them that it is more difficult to get a loan for a car than it would be to get a loan for a house. Because the house is an asset that gains value throughout the time. It's a steady fixed asset that is built on a piece of land. The car loses value as soon as you take it out of the lot. So buying a house is simple, 3.5% down payment. In many cases, buyers could even get a grant for $15,000 to aid them in their down payment and closing costs. And the monthly mortgage payments are insignificant compared to what the rents are today. When you buy a house, you have a lot of tax benefits. When you rent, you're paying someone else's mortgage, right?
Exactly.
So, you say so.
No, George.
So, what would you say, what are the common financial mistakes that you see entrepreneurs make?
I see a lot of financial mistakes. I see people co-signing loans for relatives, and you know, I've seen too many people co-sign a loan for a relative and that person defaults, and that person's credit has to be fixed, and it might take 6 months. So really educating them on the financial aspects to maintain good credit. Try not to co-sign for anyone, but you know, maintain your credit at a good level.
That's a good advice. It's hard to say no to friends and family.
But if a friend wants you to help them with a car, help them with a $5,000 loan, not a $40,000 loan.
Yeah. And the other problem is they may not default, but then that debt becomes part of your credit worthiness, and then that debt encroaches upon your ability to borrow more money. But I'll tell you, you know, we have sold houses to people that thought that it couldn't be possible. I always tell people, buy where you can, and then stay there 3, 4, 5 years, sell, take that equity, buy a better house, and slowly move up the ladder. People want instant gratification, and that's one of the problems. Patience is a virtue more in this business, and in any business. It takes time for you to gain respect, credibility, and the clientele that is going to make your business sustainable.
That's right. So, how do you see, let's talk about the generational wealth. Well, at the beginning you mentioned something about the benefits, the equity of the house. Some benefits that you get when you don't get when you are an employee and live check by check. Live by check by check. How does entrepreneurship help future generations? How do you see future generations in terms of financial stability when they are entrepreneurs? In other words, your families. Do you how they benefit from your starting a business 25, 30 years ago? How do you think that affect them?
Well, our aspect is owning real estate. The magic of compound interest is unbelievable. Someone that puts 3.5% down payment on a house, the house goes up, let's say 12% in 1 year. They have made what? Like 400% on their investment. Where else can you get that kind of return in 1 year? Because the name of the game is the return on your equity. So, generational wealth, most people that have owned, most billionaires have made most of their wealth in real estate.
Yeah, I mean, real estate is an amazing way. What people should see the purchase of a house, not just as the house where I'm going to live and raise my family, but how am I going to take advantage of that opportunity so that in the long run or in the short run, I can then borrow from the house that I own to buy another property. And another thing that I always like to tell people is the year has 12 months. Instead of making 12 months, 12 payments, make 13 payments. And you most probably will decrease the length of a loan from 30 years to 26. Or what about making 4 quarterly payments instead of 3 quarterly payments? So now you could potentially bring, I don't have a calculator in front of me, but you can potentially bring the balance of your loan or your length of your loan from 30 years down to 20 years. So there are little things that you can teach the communities and the consumer to take advantage of. They have the ability to make 13 annual payments or 4 quarterly payments instead of 3. The year has 4 quarters, so 4 additional payments. And now, not only you're paying your loan faster, but the equity of your investment is increasing substantially by virtue of the reduction of the length of the loan in years, and you have more money, more equity to invest. So do not treat the purchase of your house as the house where you're going to live and raise your family, but as an opportunity for growth.
Growth. That's the other word. So
let me just add, most of the investors we deal with, they don't rely on one house. They have their sights set on the second house, third house, fourth house. Because if you have a house that's worth $500,000 and it goes up 10% a year, you're making $50,000. If you have four houses with a total value of $2 million, now you're making $200,000. That's real wealth. Don't stop at one is my message. Always
have the mentality. And we like to educate, Joe and I like to educate every community, not just the Latino community, but every community. And it is upon them to see what those opportunities can bring. Don't think about one house, think about the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, and probably in 10 years, you're a rich person.
Very, very important advice. So, to conclude, what advice would you give to the future generations regarding becoming an entrepreneur?
Future generations, the future of the future generations is quite uncertain because the priorities of this generation today, the younger kids, is not how we thought 30 years ago, 20 years ago. And it is not that we're getting old, but you need to always in life understand that at some point you have to go back to basics. So the recommendation is understand that this is a country that offers a lot of opportunities. Educate yourself. Don't spend too much time on those handheld devices playing games. And let your brain and those opportunities take you to the next level. There are certain things that we need to understand. Every human being has a chip. In many cases, some people have their chip screwed up and they need to reset it. Some people have a chip full of positive information. And there are certain books that I always recommend that I have read that changed my life and that sometimes I revisit. One of them is Secrets of a Millionaire's Mind of D. Harv Eker. Why some people are poor, why some people are rich. Everything is in the way they think. Think and Grow Rich is another one. It is amazing to see passages of that book that relate to you. How to Win Friends and Influence People, that's a masterpiece that everybody should be reading because it applies to success and business. And the last one is 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And the beauty about this generation versus mine is that you have YouTube. You just go to YouTube and watch some videos that motivate you and will reset your chip, or listen to audio tapes, the ones that I just mentioned, when you're driving long distances. Just remember that your mental health is part of your health in general, and resetting that chip, resetting the hard drive is important. You go to exercise, to the gym every day, to develop muscle, to develop a good health. The same thing has to be done with your mental health. In any business, but in the real estate business definitely is important. That's my recommendation. Read books, watch those YouTube videos, and Dan Pena, by the way, Dan Pena, he has some good videos in YouTube which I would recommend everybody to watch.
Let me just add, George has a very successful real estate office, Premier Homes Pros. I deal with maybe 20 other offices, so about 20 different offices. And the biggest mistake that I see is that someone becomes semi-successful and they forget the education. They forget that they need a coach. You don't stop needing a coach. I have a coach. You know, you got to continually be learning, and other offices just don't have that capability. The only one I know of is your office that has continual coaching, and you got to have that. You can't be on your own. You can't live on an island. You have to continually learn, whether it be through books or have a coach. Coaches have coaches.
Coaches have coaches. Successful teams have successful coaches. And when the team wins or loses, they don't blame the players, they blame the coach. And the mistake that many real estate agents make is they think they know everything at some point in the real estate careers, and I don't need a coach. Everybody needs a coach. Even coaches need coaches.
Absolutely.
And let me tell you, I use an example when you look at Venus Williams and Serena Williams, the tennis champions. Those girls were raised in challenging neighborhoods, but they had a father that said to himself and to his kids, you can become a champion, and inserted that into these girls' brain and mentality, and they became what the father wanted for their girls, and the level of competitiveness is amazing. And that's an example. You just watch people accomplish things. And who coached them? The father. But at some point the father said, I already took you to this level, but it is time for me to get for my two girls, Venus and Serena, another coach that will take them to another level. Everybody needs a coach, no matter how good you are.
Thank you, that's a good advice. What about you, Joe? What advice would you give to the future generations about starting interest in becoming an entrepreneur?
Start early, educate yourself, like George said, and try to line yourself up with successful people. You know, if you don't spend time with successful people, you won't be successful. That's critical.
You are a product of the 5 people that you are surrounded with or surrounded by. So anytime that you hear any negative affirmation from someone, leave the room. And remember that you become a product of the 5 people who you are surrounded with.
There's too much negativity, too much mediocrity in all aspects of business. You have to find a mentor or a coach or someone that could guide you in the right direction.
That's very important. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your expertise. We are going to conclude, which we have 10 hours to talk about it, 10 hours, and it's not going to be enough to share your experience and all that you have to share. Do you want to share if somebody wants to contact you, where they can find you?
Yes, if anyone wants to, I'm going to actually offer a twofold opportunity. If anyone wants to become a real estate agent, change their lives, take advantage of this great profession as a career, earn $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year in income, give me a call. Or if any of you want to buy or sell a house, also give me a call. I will help you find the house, and my friend Joe will help you get the money to be able to find the house. Nothing is impossible in this country. Everything is possible. Take the next step and give me a call.
Thank you. What about you?
Absolutely. I can help 2 aspects that come to mind. If anybody wants to consider a career in lending, absolutely contact me. At MLB, we have MLB University, where we can actually train someone, help him get his license, and that's been a very successful program. Also, anyone that wants to purchase, refinance their house, maybe pull some cash out of their house to purchase their next house, I can help them with that as well.
Thank you both for sharing your time, for being here. and for give us the opportunity to learn about the experience of how to be an entrepreneur in this time. So I also want to thank the Historical Society for giving us the space to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month by sharing our experience and celebrate our stories. I also want to thank everyone that make everything possible, every person that, all the team that is behind to bring this forum, this content to the community. So thank you everyone for watching, and thank you both again.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. The pleasure has been mine too. Thank you. Okay, John.
Also, I want to thank everybody that make this possible, all the team, also all the partners. Also, I want to thank the Union County. This panel discussion is made possible in part by a 2023 Heart History, Education, Arts, Reaching Thousands grant from the Union County Board of Chosen Commissioners. And thank you everybody for watching this.